Why I love the McCoy era. Hello and welcome to this week's video. Now, it's been a while since I've done a Why I Love vid. I think it was probably the Why I Love the Troughton era. So this time around I'm doing it for another of my favourite eras, Why I Love the McCoy era. Now, when I say I've done, the Troughton era and that, we're talking top three eras here. Tom is my favourite Doctor. Troughton is my second favourite Doctor. Sylvester is my third favourite Doctor. And when I say that, I'm not just saying their Doctors, I'm also saying their eras are my favourites as well. I mean, honestly, once upon a time I would have put Sylvester's era in second place. It's just the Troughton era has kind of gone up and up and up as we've gotten more of it over the years. Because, I mean, back in the day, all we had was like season 6. And not all of that. Since then, we've had things filled in by missing episodes, animations, even if not all of them were successful. So that's kind of taken my second place. But I don't see anything ever knocking the McCoy era out of my third favourite era, because I love this era. This was my era of Doctor Who. As many people who've followed this channel regularly will know, I became a Doctor Who fan Christmas '86, courtesy of a Christmas present from my brother, which was actually the novelisation of The Savages, believe it or not. And that is, for some reason, that book really caught me, and I began getting other books out of the library and the celebration, and I just became obsessed with it. Which means, of course, that I sat down, September 1987, with season 24 being my first proper season as a fan, meaning that the McCoy era was the one I watched live as a fan. Now, again, this wasn't the first time I'd seen Doctor Who. I remember chunks of the Davison era from my childhood and even chunks of season 22. But at that point, it was just something that was on TV. It wasn't like I wasn't a massive fan. If I missed some, who cares? It was just another show. So the McCoy era was the first that I watched live as a proper card-carrying fanboy. And yes, I did, I was experiencing other Doctor Who courtesy of VHSs and pirate tapes from a friend that I made in '88. But the McCoy era was my era. So he was my Doctor. And he still is to a great, even though, I may prefer Tom and Pat and their eras. The McCoy era still comes in at a very strong third place. And again, I don't see that ever changing, to be honest. Now, to be sure, there is some nostalgia there as to why that is. Again, this is the one I came in as a fan in. I mean, I was about 12, I think, when that happened. In my early teens for his next two seasons. So yeah, I have a very strong nostalgic and emotional connection to that. It was when I discovered the show in general. It was when I became a part of fandom, albeit a fairly localized fandom at my comprehensive school. So I'm very fond of it. But that being said, I also think the McCoy era stands up pretty damn well. My only regret is that it wasn't longer, that the seasons weren't longer and we didn't get more of them. Though in a way you could argue that makes it just a little bit more special. Now again, I know everybody slags off season 24 and I don't necessarily disagree. I don't hate it. The only one I would say I really don't like is Time on the Rani, which is a really bad start. Paradise Towers I've kind of gone in and out of over the years. I still rather like Delta and Dragonfire, to be honest with you. No, it's not as good as the next subsequent seasons, but I still really I can throw them on any time and have a good time with them. Again, another one of the boon of the era is Sophie Aldred as Ace, still one of my absolute top companions. The dynamic between her and Sylvester makes them one of my absolute favourite Doctor companion teams. I would say, honestly, I would only put Tom and Lalla over them. Otherwise, they are pretty much so much still my favourite pairing. I have many. I mean, I have many favourites, but yeah, I'd definitely put them in the top two. Um, Again, the fact that I was in my early teens at the time didn't hurt with Ace. I mean, Dragonfire. When I watched Dragonfire, I was like, oh, Mel's gone. She's the new companion. Okay, and I didn't give it a second thought. By the time September 1988 rolled around, I was like, man, Sophie's pretty cute, isn't she? Just saying. Um, but yeah, season 25 and 26 are still two of my absolute favourite seasons. Especially 26, which I think I would probably put in the top three, along with 16 and 17 with Tom. Season 25, probably not quite in the top five, but I'd still put it in my top 10 all-time favourite seasons. I watched Remembrance of the Daleks maybe 2 months ago now at most, on the Blu-ray, of course. Still fantastic. I watched the original version. I didn't watch any special editions. I didn't watch any updated effects. I watched the original version, just upgraded for Blu-ray. Looked absolutely fantastic. Doesn't need a special effects upgrading. It still looks absolutely great and absolutely fantastic, and it's still a fantastic story. And I am looking forward to watching, like, Southern Nemesis and Greatest Show sometime when I get around to it. It's not quite time for me to watch season 26 yet, but again, I will be watching it in the next couple of years, and I'm already looking forward to it because I love season 26. Season 26, definitely in the top three. My favourite season, as I think I've said, is season 16. I kind of alternate between 17 and 26 as to which is second. They're both very strong. I love season 26 so much. I think all four stories are just absolutely fabulous in their own ways, and they're all very different from each other, with a consistent style, and again, a truly fantastic Doctor companion team. I was gutted when the show went off air. I can still be bitter about it, I mean, yeah, let's axe the show after delivering one of its best ever fucking seasons. In fact, let's not do that. Let's deliberately axe the show after its most successful season in 3 years, and then deliberately under promote the upcoming season so we can blame it on poor ratings. I hate those people so much. And the fact that the same corporation has been keeping the goddamn steaming turd that is New Who on for the last 7 fucking years when it should have been canned at least 2017. Yeah. This world is just run by assholes. Let's be honest. Absolute steaming assholes. Sorry, I digress. Of course, they also kind of led to the New Adventures, which I'm perhaps less fond of nowadays. But at the time, again, when the New Adventures they started in like 91. I was 16. I was still missing Doctor Who. I was still missing Sylvester and Sophie. And I was well up for continuing their adventures in novel form. In point of fact, the very first New Adventure, Time Worm Genesis, stands out. I actually read that on the plane when I emigrated to Australia in 1991. So, very, very nostalgic stuff. But yeah, I love the McCoy era. Like I said, my top 3 favourite eras and Doctors are Tom, Troughton, and Sylvester. I love this era. It means a lot to me in nostalgia terms and in everything that was going on at that time. And it means a lot to me just because it's still bloody good Doctor Who. And 9 times out of 10, again, I would rather watch McCoy story than anything from almost any other era apart from, like, you know. I mean, obviously there are exceptions. I mean, I'd rather watch Spearhead from Space than Time in the Rani. But you know what I'm saying. Generally speaking, you know, I'd much rather watch Greatest Show in the Galaxy than the Time Monster. You know, there you go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment, like, for fuck's sake. Nobody ever presses the like button. For God's sake, it's not that hard. That's why I love the McCoy era. Talk to you again soon.